On Tuesday, Iran media reported multiple explosions on Kharg Island, the country's primary oil export terminal, hours before the deadline by President Trump for Tehran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Trump set 8 p.m. deadline today for Iran to meet demand or face expanded attacks, as Washington warned it could get critical energy infrastructure, including facilities handling up to 90% of the country's oil. For more on this here.
Hours before President Donald Trump's 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time deadline for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, U.S. forces carried out fresh strikes on military targets on Iran's Kharg Island, a senior U.S. official told Reuters on Tuesday, emphasizing that the operation did not hit oil infrastructure. The latest attack follows a larger precision raid in mid-March, when U.S. Central Command said it destroyed more than 90 Iranian military sites on the island, naval mine storage, missile and munitions bunkers, air defense positions, and a naval base, while deliberately sparing the oil terminals, pipelines, and storage tanks that handle roughly 90% of Iran's crude exports. The timing is critical. Trump has repeatedly tied Kharg to an ultimatum. Tehran must allow free passage through the strait or face broader strikes on power plants, bridges, and, potentially, the island's oil network. After Iran rejected a ceasefire proposal on Monday, Trump warned that failure to meet the Tuesday evening deadline could trigger a simultaneous, massive bombing campaign against Iran's electric grid and bridges. U.S. officials say the Kharg strikes are intended as calibrated pressure, degrading Iran's military capacity on the island without yet collapsing its oil lifeline, preserving leverage for negotiations. Kharg is a coral outcrop about 15 to 20 miles off Iran's southwestern coast. Its deepwater jetties let supertankers load crude piped from inland fields, and analysts estimate the hub moves 1.1 to 1.6 million barrels per day, accounting for more than $50 billion in annual revenue. Markets are watching closely. Brent briefly topped $109 earlier this week as shipping through Hormuz fell more than 90% year-on-year. Iranian state media reported more than 15 explosions on Kharg during the March raid, but said oil facilities were untouched. Tehran's armed forces countered that any attack on its energy infrastructure would trigger retaliation against U.S.-linked oil assets in the region. The renewed strike comes as two U.S. carrier groups, additional Marines and amphibious ships position in the Gulf, and as Israeli forces continue parallel operations against Iranian proxies. Trump's Truth Social posts have swung between claiming the U.S. totally obliterated every military target on Kharg and threatening to wipe out the island's oil infrastructure if Iran keeps the strait closed. With the deadline now passed and no public sign of Tehran backing down, the limited Kharg strikes mark a dangerous pivot from messaging to kinetic action, stopping short of an economic knockout, but signaling that the next round could hit the island's oil heart.